Tonight, it's the defending national champs, number 7 Duke, against the defending Mid-American Conference champs, the Buffalo Bulls. And we say welcome to Jimmy V Week for cancer research on ESPN as we continue our commitment to the V Foundation and Jim Valvano's dream to defeat cancer. A pleasant good evening to you, Mike Cousins, former Virginia standout Corey Alexander. So glad to have you along tonight. Corey, we start at the top of the ACC scoring charts where we find Duke sophomore guard Grayson Allen.
Absolutely. And Grayson Allen, of course, coming into the season was known for what he did in the national championship game versus Wisconsin. However, it's been what he's getting to doing now, getting to the rim, attacking, and becoming that leader that Duke needs for him to be. He goes to the rim with a reckless abandon and has no regard for his body or anyone else's. However, he's just as accurate beyond the three-point line, shooting 47% on the season from beyond the arc, and he plays with so much passion. He's the emotional leader for these Blue Devils, and he loves to give it all for his team.
His numbers this year have increased almost fivefold from what he did last year as the hidden gem of that #1 recruiting class for Mike Krzyzewski. Now for Buffalo this week, and the last couple of months, their minds have understandably been a little bit away from basketball. Nate Oates, their first-year head coach, and his wife has been diagnosed with lymphoma. As we go on through the broadcast tonight, we'll tell you about that and how the two of them and this team are fighting that battle together. A great season last year for Buffalo, the first trip to the NCAA tournament in school history. They lost a lot of pieces. This year, it's a very spread-out scoring attack.
Well, Buffalo's had the MAC Player of the Year the last 2 seasons. This year, they're going to have to spread it out with a number of different guys. And they have 4 guys averaging in double figures, another close at 9.7 points per game. So when you think about them, it's not simply about one guy getting it done, but they have to all be able to get it done on a consistent basis.
Duke at 7-1. There's Mike Krzyzewski, 5 NCAA titles under his belt and responsible for nearly 50% of the wins in Duke basketball history. Starting lineups, and for Duke, it's a familiar one. The 6th time they've gone with it this year, with Jones, Allen, and Ingram in the backcourt. Jefferson and Plumlee, the strong rebounding duo up front. 3rd straight game they've gone with that 5. Lamonte Bearden is the leading scorer for Buffalo at 14 points a game. Jaren Skeet, a great 3-point shooter, with Riddell Wigginton, Willie Connor, and Ikenna Smart helping out in the front court. Smart at the center circle with Marshall Plumlee, ready to get this one underway. The first time that Duke and Buffalo have ever squared off. And it's the Blue Devils who open with possession, and Matt Jones, who celebrates his 21st birthday today.
And Matt Jones making the transition, really the point guard for this starting lineup for Duke, which is what he hasn't done much of throughout his career, but making the change and doing a tremendous job at it early in the season.
Brandon Ingram coming off a 24-point performance on Wednesday here in a blowout of Indiana. Comes up empty on possession #1. Wigginton, the native of Nova Scotia, straight away for Bearden. He has a mismatch there with Emile Jefferson, but lost his dribble, and now the ball is poked loose. Wigginton, offensive foul as he pushes off against Allen.
And give Allen a lot of credit, going for the loose ball, unable to come up with it, but didn't give up on the play, getting back in. And Wigginton, really, who's been one of the most consistent performers for Buffalo, picking up an early foul. Now that's going to take away a bit of his aggressiveness here in the first half.
High post, Plumlee, Allen, and an open lane for the game's first 2.
And now you see Duke in that 1-3-1 defense. They started playing that against Yale right before Thanksgiving, and it was very successful for them. We'll see if Buffalo can figure that out.
In transition, Ingram is hit, and the bucket. Chance for 3 for the freshman from Kinston, North Carolina.
Well, one thing you can never do is rest on your laurels against the Blue Devils. You have to get back on defense because they have so many different guys that can push the basketball. This time it's Brandon Ingram who's the recipient, but he's a finisher as well.
The foul on Willie Connor, the first on the junior from Chicago, as Ingram in his young career dropped 24 against the Hoosiers. A great night offensively for Duke, and a game that also exposed quite a bit on the defensive side for Indiana.
And Duke going back to some full court pressure. No traps, just trying to make sure that Buffalo knows that they're there and they won't be able to get the ball out of the basket and run against them. Duke doing a great job. And, of course, one of the things you always play against with the Blue Devils, they like to push your offense way out on the floor.
Skeet tries the top of the key three, doesn't get it. Wigginton fights with Ingram for the rebound. Jones controls for Duke. Noticing early those possessions for Buffalo, one and done. Big height advantage for the Blue Devils in this one.
And this is where Buffalo actually can have an advantage with Wigginton as the 4, getting to the rim and making plays, because they have 4 guys that can rebound the basketball and push it down the floor. Rodell Wigginton, one of those guys, really plays the 4 position, and he's a matchup problem for the much larger players for Duke. And this time taking advantage of that out in transition with the finish at the rim, an opportunity for the and-1.
So it's a blocking foul called on Jefferson. Wigginton, who averages 12 a game, gets 2 out of 3, and it's a 5-2 lead for Duke. 2 minutes gone here at Cameron Indoor. Jefferson has position, bodies his way in, too strong, and catches the back iron. Wigginton into the lane, and over the top of Jefferson for 2. He's got all 4 Buffalo points.
And once again, Emil Jefferson is a very good defender, but he's more of a post defender. He's not used to having to run back in defense and guard the guy guarding the ball. Dribbling the basketball. And right now, Rodell Wigginton is taking advantage of that on 2 different possessions for Buffalo.
Allen gets into the lane and drives the foul. Wigginton taking it 94 feet.
And Wigginton, a good rebounder, gets an opportunity, and he's not looking for a point guard. He's going to push the basketball, and a very adept ball handler, and more importantly, able to finish around the rim with the nice touch to be able to get his team within 1.
Did just pick up his 2nd foul, though, so forces a decision for Nate Oates, the first-year head coach. And Allen's first is good.
And that's the problem, getting that early foul, the push-off, put Wigginton in a situation now where he had to be a little less aggressive on the defensive end. He was unable to do that. So you're thinking about it, he's played a very good 2.5 minutes, but he's going to have to sit for a bulk of this first half. I'm sure Coach Oates will give the senior an opportunity to get back on the floor, but he definitely can't pick up a third here in the first.
So he sits and is replaced by Blake Hamilton, a junior from Pasadena, California, and Ikenna Smart to the bench. The big man replaced by the freshman Nick Perkins out of Michigan. Pump fake and a foul called on Plumlee as he left the ground, his first and the team's 2nd.
And a nice play by Bearden getting to the rim. And you can see with Buffalo, of course, they have a number of guys that can shoot the 3, but they're not going to settle for just jump shots. They want to be able to attack, even though Duke is much larger on the interior with Plumlee and Jefferson. The Buffalo offensive players and their perimeter players definitely want to get into the paint to try to put some pressure on those bigs.
And Bearden is one of their better ones. Last year, named to the MAC all-freshman team. About a 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, and provides them a bit of a constant for a team over the last few years, whether it's been coaching changes, personnel changes, has seen a lot of different faces. Ingram, as he gets his shooters rolling. Hamilton working on Jefferson. Left-handed rejection. Jones thinks about a 3. Jefferson down the lane, and that's a blocking foul as he tumbles right through.
Well, Emil Jefferson getting it done on both ends of the floor, denying Hamilton at the rim. Actually, that may have been Ingram coming up with the block shot, and Emil Jefferson going to the rim. And that's one thing in today's game, with the way the game is being called, an offensive player, at times, it's better just to put your head down and go to the rim. You're going to get a call more than likely because officials aren't really looking to call the block. You have to be set stationary. I'm starting to call the charge. You have to be set stationary to get a charge, and it's very difficult to do in transition.
Allen for the baseline. Misses it, and the Bulls are going to look to run. And from officials I've talked to, they say the way they have to police it is looking at the defender first. Is the illegal defender? So they're not as much looking at the offensive player, like you said.
Absolutely.
Under the bucket, it's Perkins, the freshman. And it's a 3-second violation against Buffalo, down 9-6.
And nothing will go into the stat sheet right there for Marshall Plumlee, but just being 7 feet and cutting off any lane for Perkins to be able to finish comes up with a team turnover. Great defensive stance right there by Duke.
It's quite the advantage with a fifth-year player against a guy who's in his 8th collegiate game. Allen mismatched size-wise, and Plumlee bails him out baseline. Loose ball up top, and there's a whistle as Jefferson was in a fight for it with Willie Connor. Jaron Skeet of Buffalo, senior from Ontario, picks up the foul, his first.
And that was an example of Skeet just reached in for the basketball. Mill Jefferson went to get it, and because of it, they not only came away with the ball, but also the foul.
Already 5 team fouls in the first 4 minutes against Buffalo. Ingram takes a Plumlee screen, and a beautiful finger roll off the window.
And as nice as the finger roll was, more important was the body control as the defender set up to take the charge from Ingram, but he sidestepped it. I'm not calling it a Euro. I'm not a fan. I won't call it that, but he did sidestep to avoid the contact.
Nobody there on the help side as Lamonte Bearden now has 4. Allen. And we've got a whistle on the baseline. And that goes against Buffalo. On the road, the Bulls down by 3.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Because at Cheez-It, real cheese matters. And Verizon. Better matters.
And Mike Cousins and Corey Alexander with you here at Duke. And the Blue Devils with an 11-3 lead over Buffalo. Under Nate Oates, his first season as head coach, and there's been a lot of change. Their first ever NCAA tournament appearance. It was under Bobby Hurley, his second and final season. He agreed to a contract extension, but a couple weeks later, he left, as did Shannon Evans. So Nate Oates, November 13th, with a big-time win in his first game at the helm, and now the first game ever against the Blue Devils in Buffalo history. So Corey, Bobby Hurley, right here, you would think, oh, it's an easy setup. Former coach, former player, not the case.
Absolutely, but you know, the thing about Buffalo, Nate Oates was in the program. He was an assistant coach for Bobby Hurley for 2 years, had a lot of success at Romulus High School, and then coming with Bobby Hurley. So he has a relationship with those players at Buffalo. I believe a great hire to keep Coach Oates on the staff.
Chase Jeter, the talented freshman, is into the game, along with Luke Kennard and Derek Thornton. So the lineup instantly gets younger here for Duke. And Coach K does not like to play his former players when they're coaches, and so this developed after Bobby Hurley left Buffalo.
Yeah, when I saw this on the schedule, I didn't think that would be a game that Coach K nor Bobby Hurley would want to play. Bobby's had such great memories here in this building. I don't think he wanted to risk that by coming in here and possibly taking the L.
Jeter, baseline, trying to go through traffic and doesn't get a call as he has it taken away for the second straight possession. A one-shot game right now for Buffalo. Baseline, wide open look, and it comes up short as Perkins can't finish.
So Perkins actually got hit on that when he was undercut a bit. I believe the officials missed that one. That had a lot to do with why he missed that shot.
Kennard missed his shot and then was rejected by Perkins. And now we've got a whistle as Willie Connor has come off the court. It looks like a contact lens issue, perhaps.
You see Buffalo doing a great job attacking the paint. Beautiful pass, but as you see, Chase Jeter goes into the legs of Perkins. That should be a foul. I mean, that was a missed call right there. I hate to put the officials on the spot, but that was a missed call. But I'm sure the officials were looking up at the rim and not getting an opportunity to see that. But that's one I'm sure Buffalo would love to have back, or especially at least gotten free throws out of it.
Baseline drive, Perkins through traffic, called for a travel. And you notice a big difference there on the defensive side for Duke with that contact lens timeout. Chase Jeter quickly out, and Plumlee was back on the floor for Duke.
And Emil Jefferson now takes a seat, and he's the guy that really brings the energy for this Duke Blue Devil team. Duke is a perimeter-oriented team, no question about it. As you look out there, and now they have, you know, 3 freshman guards out there, as well as the sophomore Allen and the redshirt senior Plumlee. but they're a perimeter-oriented team, but they have to rely on guys like Emil Jefferson as well as Marshall Plumlee to bolster the interior and in the paint to make sure that these guards can roam free, because they do all the dirty work under the basket.
You look at the leading scorers on the team as Allen goes to the line after the foul from Blake Hamilton, the Buffalo junior, and knocks down the front end of a 1-and-1. Allen leading the ACC at 22 points a game. Matt Jones, 14 points a game, and Brandon Ingram, 13 a night.
Allen also leading the league in free throw percentage at over 92%, and that's just gone up here. You might as well just not even shoot him, put the points on the board, walk down to the other end when he gets fouled.
Allen's now got 6, and the lead is 5 for the Blue Devils. Nice pass by Skeet into the lane, and it's tipped out. Second chance goes for Nikola Rakikovic, the freshman from Serbia, who's playing in just his 5th game of his young career.
And Rakikovic hasn't had a lot of opportunities, but Coach Oates did say that he felt like this was a game that he could help them, especially when you're playing against so many quality perimeter players in Duke, and you see he's paying dividends early for Buffalo.
Kennard, the freshman from Franklin, Ohio, his first foul, and just the 3rd against Duke. 17 fouls against Buffalo, 3 against the Blue Devils. Those fouls have hurt here early. Lamonte Bearden, their leading scorer, and Rodell Wigginton, their 3rd leading scorer, each with 2 fouls.
But more importantly, you're talking about Bearden as their point guard, and if you've got to lose one, the point guard is the most difficult guy to take off the court, simply because they don't have another guy that can run the show the way Bearden does.
Ingram hangs and scores. 9 points here in the early going after he had 18 in the first 20 minutes last game against Indiana.
And you see Brandon Ingram, he's starting to play with that type of confidence that made him one of the top high school players coming out of the country last year, and he's getting the job done, not necessarily only shooting the three-pointer, but attacking the rim, where he's not a very big, strong guy, but he's very skilled and uses his length very well around the rim.
Good cross-court look. Hamilton lines up a 3, and Rakikovic saves it, bouncing it off of Thornton.
Brandon Ingram shows you just a bit of what he's capable of doing. You see long on the defensive end, but more importantly, his ability to handle the basketball at about 6'7" or 6'8", and then finds his way to the rim, a soft touch to be able to finish. He is a matchup problem pretty much for anyone that he's going to play against. His length makes him a very good defender. His ability to shoot the basketball as well as finish around the rim, and he's one of those guys that his confidence is going to continue to grow as the season goes along.
They've used him at the top of that 1-3-1 zone because of a 7'3" wingspan. Kennard. This gets back iron. Had his best game of his early career last weekend on Sunday against Utah State.
And I'll tell you, I've been around Luke Kennard for a long time. And if you're Buffalo, you don't want to give him too many of those looks. I mean, he hasn't shot the ball extremely well as a freshman so far this year, but you don't want to give him open looks and let him get hot.
Nor do you want to give Allen many more uncontested looks from 3. Still a 5-point game as we hit the 12-minute mark of half number 1. Skeet works on the edge as Jones tries to contain him. C.J. Massenberg, the freshman, defended well by Thornton, out of bounds, and it stays at this end of the floor.
Well, Brandon Ingram has had his struggles early in his freshman year. However, he looks very comfortable here tonight at Cameron Indoors. The Blue Devils lead by 5.
Go to jimmyv.org or call 1-800-4-JIMMY-V to donate, and know that all donations benefit the V Foundation for Cancer Research. Buffalo down by 5, 11:44 in the first half. Nate Oates, his first year at the helm, 3rd with Buffalo, and he's wearing a lime green pin today, and that is the color for lymphoma awareness. His wife of 17 years, Crystal, at 41 years old, found out in October she was diagnosed with double-hit lymphoma, and Coach Oates will tell us about her fight, their fight together, later on here in this half. Foul is on Duke's Derek Thornton, his first, the team's 4th.
And Bearden back into the game with those 2 fouls. Of course, when you look at, if you're Coach Oates, you can't continue to be successful in this game without your point guard on the floor. So coach having to trust his sophomore point guard now to go out there and be able to make plays, but more importantly, stay out of foul trouble. He does not want him to pick up a third here in this first half.
0 for 2 from the free throw line. That's where they're going to need to be successful today. Kennard driving. And the ball is knocked away. Well, coming up Tuesday on ESPN, the Jimmy V Classic presented by Corona continues with a doubleheader. 7 Eastern, number 20 West Virginia takes on at number 10 Virginia, and then Maryland and UConn, who's had a real tough early season schedule. You can also see both games live on Watch ESPN. West Virginia's Devin Williams dropping in 26, a new career high for him today in a win against Kennesaw State.
Speaking of career highs, a career high 24 points for Brandon Ingram his last time out here against Indiana for Duke. But he's gotten off to an early start, 9 points already in this one. He continues at this pace, I think we'll see a career high for a second straight game, but that wouldn't be anything new. I think Grayson Allen's done that a couple times this year, right?
The expectations very high for Ingram, not as much for Allen, who's already topped 30 points twice this year.
And back-to-back games as well.
Doing it against VCU and Georgetown. Only Anthony Barber of NC State has scored 30 in the league this year. Bearden trapped, he goes up top, an open look for 3 from Hamilton is no good. Allen on the move, through contact, through the lane, and a nearly nifty pass knocked away by Wigginton.
And Allen coming at you in transition is dangerous for any team. That time he was a bit too unselfish because he beat everyone to the rim. Decided to try to throw it out to a shooter. However, I think he gave up a layup on that one.
Yeah, Ben Simmons says, I know how you feel being accused of being too unselfish.
Ben Simmons is way too unselfish, believe me.
And Ingram goes back to it.
I wouldn't know that. That's nothing I've ever been accused of.
Hey, how do you get your point totals up, right? Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to shoot. I felt like I was the first option. Might as well be me.
Good take from Massenberg, the freshman from Dallas. His first 2 makes it a 5-point game once again.
And Massenberg has given Buffalo a lot of quality minutes this year. As you see, he's, of course, his ability to be able to attack the basket, tremendous, but more importantly, the finish, especially over the defender that Emil Jefferson is, that's a big play for the freshman. And because of it, gets the team back within 5. Buffalo sticking around with this one. Duke really hasn't had an opportunity to be able to build any separation as the officials get in and want to get just a little bit of separation between a couple of the guys out on the court.
Running Allen off the screen. Both teams looking for their first 3 of the night. Instead, Horton from close range has too much on it. Buffalo, their last game, a 2-point loss to St. Bonaventure. 1 of 13 from 3, 0 of 5 so far tonight. This is a long 2 for Wigginton. Motion through the lane, Jefferson, and he draws contact. Stopping the clock at 9:50 in the first half.
It's good to see Emil Jefferson being more aggressive on the block, trying to score offensively. He's a guy, of course, known for his offensive rebounding and playing with such a great motor. 3rd nationally as far as offensive rebounds per game, had 6 against Indiana on Wednesday night, but also had 8 assists to go along with 8 points. I mean, that 11 rebounds overall, that was a big night, and no one talks about it because, of course, Brandon Ingram has a great game. Matt Jones scores 23 points. But this is the guy that makes winning plays for Duke. He's the one that gets the job done in the trenches. And I know Coach K definitely understands his value.
And the guy who is going to be counted on to make winning plays this year for Buffalo, Lamonte Bearden, now sitting with 3 fouls. Nate Oates couldn't believe it on the call there.
When you're Bearden and you know how important it is for you to be on the court and you already have 2 fouls, you basically have to run away from any contact to make sure that the officials can never call your number when they call that foul.
An ugly looking shot is off the mark from Jared Skeet. Allen running off the top, flips it high off the window. Now a breakaway. Massenburg goes past Ingram and goes off the window with power.
And give Massenburg credit for pushing the tempo. However, that's one of the byproducts of not having a true point guard on the floor for Duke. Matt Jones playing the point guard position, but it's new for him. When shots go up in the lane, point guards normally the guys getting back. That time Duke not getting anyone back on defense, and Massenburg taking advantage of it.
On the point guard note, Thornton hasn't been in the starting lineup the last 3 games. Has not affected the outcome at all, but has come off the bench instead. Foul is on Jaren Skeet, who's second.
If you're Nate Oates, you're looking at the scoreboard and you're saying, okay, you know, I've got 2 of my top 5 players in foul trouble. One won't play again in the first half. Wigginton's still out there to give him production, but you're down 6. Not that bad. You're still within striking distance. You've got a chance, and more importantly, your guys are coming out and competing. That's what he was most concerned about today, that his guys came out here in this what will be a hostile environment and just competing with the Blue Devils.
And the fouls have hurt. Duke is 10 of 11 from the free throw line, so 50% of their scoring has come from the stripe. Skeet, the team's only 4-year member, goes back outside Wigginton. Into the lane. He caught Plumlee off guard. Not able to finish, but an offensive rebound resets a new 30. Skeet draws defenders and a kick out. Both still looking for their first 3 of the night. Skeet can't get it, a 35% three-point shooter. So it's Grayson Allen to initiate the offense for the Blue Devils. Ingram goes baseline for the flush. It's a one-on-one game. Massenburg comes up empty. Coming up, the fight against cancer has hit home for head coach Nate Oates. He'll tell his story about his wife, Crystal, coming up.
We were in the middle of a coaches meeting, and my phone was sitting on my desk, and I was kind of drawing on the whiteboard. And I happened to glance over after I heard the phone vibrate a few times, and I saw I had a couple missed calls from Crystal, and then there was a text that said, "Call me right now." So I kind of stepped out of the meeting out in the hall and called her, and she was kind of frantic and yelling into the phone that I've got lymphoma. Your mind kind of goes all which directions. There's the, you know, it might be bad, it might be stage 4, who knows? It might not be that much. She's got a real positive attitude right now, and we all do now, but those first few days, and even the first couple days after we found out what type of lymphoma it was, those were some hard days. I mean, it's hard. The coaching deal is not easy with being gone so much, and she's done an unbelievable job raising our 3 girls. And so when I told her I'd take a leave of absence this year, if that's what we needed to do, she was adamant that didn't happen, because this is kind of her dream too. You know what, so Jimmy V's speech, you know, from way back when you first heard it, it always gives me chills, but it's a whole different level now that you're talking about your wife. And it's true, like it can't take away a lot of things. Cancer can end up taking away, you know, your health, your physical health, but it can't take away your emotional well-being. And my wife's been great with the whole thing. She's lost her hair, but she hasn't lost her fight.
That's Buffalo head coach Nate Oates talking about his wife, Crystal, who in October was diagnosed with double-hit lymphoma. They've got their 18th wedding anniversary coming up in just more than 2 weeks. 3 young daughters. His oldest, Lexi, is here on the trip in place of Crystal, his wife, who could not make the trip. Brandon Ingram hitting a 3 there. He's got 14 for Duke, and the lead is now 25-14. And just hearing Nate Oates talk about that, you realize how many people that cancer does affect. There's his daughter, Lexi, 11 years old. You've got Jocelyn, who's 6, and Brielle, who's 3. And I know in my life, my girlfriend Erin, her mother, Mary, passed away when Erin was young in 1993. And I know it's impacted your family as well.
Absolutely. I actually lost my stepmother on February 15th, and she had been a caretaker for my father, who had a stroke about 10 years ago. And just, and the thing about it is, she was very quiet about it for a while. Didn't even tell us until January 23rd that she had it, and passed, less than a month later. The thing about cancer, of course, it's very unpredictable. It's, nothing that anyone can really do about it. However, the one thing that you can do is give to the Jimmy V Foundation and allow the cancer research people to continue to try to find a way to cure this terrible disease.
Everybody can help, no matter how small, no matter how large the donation.
The Jimmy V Classic on ESPN.
Kevin Williams.
Live from Madison Square Garden, the Mountaineers battle the Cavaliers. Then,
how aggressive is Melo Trimble?
The Terrapins face the Huskies in the annual celebration for legendary coach Jim Valvano. The Jimmy V Classic presented by Corona. West Virginia, Virginia at 7. Then Maryland, UConn at 9. Tuesday on ESPN.
Championship weekend tonight on ABC, the Dr. Pepper ACC Championship game. It's Marquise Williams at number 10 North Carolina against Deshaun Watson and number 1 Clemson. Larry Fedora about to ink a 7-year deal to stay at North Carolina through 2022. That game 8 Eastern on ABC. Ikenna Smart flushes it in. His first 2. Buffalo pulls back within 9, under 6.5 to play in the first half. Foul trouble has plagued the Bulls here against number 7 Duke, but they're still hanging close. The first time these two teams have ever played.
Well, Brandon Ingram has really been the difference for the Blue Devils, getting off to a great start. 14 points for him already here in the first half. And Duke really hasn't been able to solve Buffalo attacking the basket. This time, Smart being able to finish around the rim, but a lot of that has to do with the dribble penetration that Buffalo has been able to get to the rim. They haven't been able to capitalize a lot on everything from outside, but done a great job attacking.
That was one of the things that Mike Krzyzewski said before the game. Was a little bit worried about is the penetration ability of the Buffalo offense.
And Massenberg really stepping up, doing a great job with Bearden in foul trouble.
Hamilton had a mismatch there going up against Plumlee. And they turn it over as he looked for Rakikovic on the baseline. And the 5th turnover for Buffalo. Allen into the lane and fouled. See if they give him, if he was shooting there, although it doesn't matter, in the double bonus.
Very smart play by Grayson Allen, something you see a lot of in the NBA. Grayson Allen never attempted to shoot that basketball. He pretty much just put his arms out there for someone to smack him to get to the free throw line. And when you talk about guys that, are big-time scorers, this is the way that they do it. You look at Grayson Allen, 6 points on the evening so far, now 7, but 5 of them have come from the free throw line. And a guy that's shooting 58.3% from the field. They don't count as field goal attempts when you get fouled, so therefore you love to get to the line to stack up those points. And you look at what he and Brandon Ingram have done in this game. 21 points combined for 7 of 12 free throws. No one else, I believe, has made a field goal in this game.
My goodness, the rare miss there for Allen, who leads the ACC in free throw percentage. Came in 47 of 51. Long try does not connect. 0 for 7 from 3 for Buffalo. So that makes them 1 of 20. Going back to their last game against St. Bonaventure, a 2-point loss. 3 from Kennard, no. And it's a foul on Jefferson. And his second personal foul.
As of right now, the Duke coaching staff is going to trust Jefferson to stay out there and stay out of foul trouble. They don't have anyone up heading to the bench, but he's a senior, a guy that they trust a lot, and he knows he has 2 fouls, so he will stay away from most situations he can that are going to put him in foul trouble to get that 3rd.
Kennard gets to the deflection with his weak hand, but it stays with Buffalo. Baseline attempt was too much for Hamilton, and Jefferson proves to be a good choice staying on the floor. And they know that if he picks up a third foul, there's still always Chase Jeter along with Plumlee as well for help in the front court. Jones lines up a three. No. And a foul on the loose ball. Looks like it's on Rakikovic for Buffalo.
And now I believe Coach K is actually going to get Emil Jefferson going back on the defensive end. And he did a great job on the last possession of staying out of foul trouble. But before 24 left in the first half, I believe Duke can survive without him. And more importantly, you don't want him to have to go out in the second half with 3 fouls and be less aggressive, because a non-aggressive Emil Jefferson doesn't help you at all. He's a guy that, of course, crashes the boards like none other. And more importantly, what he does anchoring the defense for this Duke Blue Devil team, is invaluable. So Coach K doesn't want to risk that going into the second half of this game.
How about back-to-back first halves from Brandon Ingram? 18 against Indiana, now 15, and we still got 4 minutes and change left before the break.
Well, this is the Brandon Ingram that everyone was expecting here at Duke. And of course got off to a rocky start, but a lot of it has to do with those expectations. Coach K mentioned to us, he said, hey, we had Justice Winslow last year, went through a stretch of about a week where he only scored 3 points. I mean, he just wasn't good, but he was a freshman. But he figured it out, of course, who was, so valuable to that team last year and what they were able to win a national championship. And he felt like the same thing would happen for Brandon Ingram.
Grayson Allen almost had the reverse layup. He's late getting back down the floor, so it's a 5-on-4. The Bulls trying to find the open man, and a three-pointer finally goes. Nick Perkins makes just his 3rd three of the year.
And if you're Buffalo, you can't be too upset with where you are right now. You've had foul trouble plaguing you throughout this first half. But if you can stick around in this game and keep it close in the first half and get your starters back in, and just as we say that, they turn the basketball over.
Just an 8-point game. Duke trying to get their scoring going.
Tap on the Land Rover halftime report. Yes, highlights from the SEC championship game, Alabama and Florida there at the half. It's a pretty close game. Plus, the good and the bad of the early college basketball season with Jeff Goodman. All coming up, Land Rover halftime report. Until then, let's head back to Cameron Indoor.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. 27-19, Duke in the lead, but Brandon Ingram with another great first 20 minutes.
And he's been doing it by attacking the rim, using that length to score over top of defenders, showing the defensive side, but turning defense into offense at the other end with the nice touch around the rim. And Brandon Ingram, the matchup problem and the ability to handle the basketball. And he can finish at the rim as well.
We've gotten to the point where if he doesn't score 30 in his first game, like Johnny Flynn did as a freshman to break Carmelo Anthony's record, then you don't have a good game.
Wait a minute. Was that your shameless plug to get a Syracuse reference in?
I just happened to be in the building. It was an easy reference. But we've gotten to the point now where if the number 3 player in the country doesn't go off right away, he didn't have a good start.
You're absolutely right. And when you look at college basketball today, I can remember coming in as a freshman, and I came into a league that Christian Laettner was a senior. Bobby Hurley was a junior. You had so many players up and down the league. Freshmen had to come in and contribute. They didn't have to come in and carry a team. Now if you're a freshman and you don't come in, as you mentioned, scoring 30 right off the bat like Jabari Parker did, like so many guys here at Duke have, then people don't think that you're having a successful year. You got to give these guys a chance to figure it out. It's new for them as well. And Brandon Ingram, 7 games in, it looks like he's starting to figure it out.
As is Derek Thornton, who should be a high school senior this year, but reclassified after Tyus Jones left and helped give Duke a point guard for this year. Skeet travels with it. And Buffalo gives it back with 2:06 to go, their 7th turnover of the half.
And I believe that's where Derek Thornton can really help this team, is on the defensive end. Of course, on offensively, he's going to have his ups and downs with, turnovers and things and such, but that every freshman point guard, including myself, had to deal with that, especially if you're a starter in this league. But defensively, he can do things that I don't think Duke has anyone else that can do as far as guarding the ball and pressuring the basketball, and that's where he really needs to focus on helping this team.
Allen had it poked away. It's Plumlee with a one-on-one opportunity. The left-handed hook doesn't fall. And now you got a foul on the loose ball. Contact between Matt Jones and C.J. Massenberg. It's a senior and a freshman, and Jones is whistled for his first personal.
C.J. Massenberg has really been all over the place here tonight, doing a tremendous job, and with Bearden in foul trouble, not necessarily a point guard, stepping in for Bearden, but playing more off the ball. And he's one of the guys that the coaching staff from Buffalo, even though Coach Oates was part of recruiting him and knew he was good, I believe he's been a pleasant surprise, even better than they expected him to be as a freshman.
Out of bounds, and back to Duke. Beg your pardon, I said Jones senior or junior.
That's okay.
But two Texas guys, nevertheless, there in that tangle.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier, Texas Titans.
Yeah.
You talked about it earlier. He was also teammates with Damian Jones at Vanderbilt, Julius Randle.
Grayson Allen.
Now that's got to be a breakdown when a guy that's averaging 22 points a game gets an easy uncontested layup. Coach Oates can't be happy with his team's defensive effort on that play, but he has to be happy seeing Perkins knock down the second three-pointer of the game for Buffalo.
And that's not exactly who he probably would have expected would be knocking them down tonight, but you take it where you can get it as it helps chop into what was the largest lead of the night for Duke. Ingram can't get it. Allen, and it's down to Connor for Buffalo inside of a minute first half. Cross court look, Hamilton with a floater over Ingram. That's tough to do. And now we've got a timeout taken by Duke with 35 seconds left at half number one.
Well, when you come into Cameron Indoor and the #1 scorer in the ACC gets looks like this, it's going to be difficult for you to win. Grayson Allen, easy to the basket. However, on the opposite side, Nick Perkins finds himself wide open in the corner. Why not, big fella? Knock it down. On the other side, when you think about Hamilton getting to the rim, the contact, no call, but finishing with the floater. And Buffalo now, as it's in single digits, only 9. Remember, Wigginton in foul trouble, Bearden in foul trouble. They have 2 of their top players on the bench, but they have had a group that stepped up and played well for them. And that's one of the things that Buffalo's been able to rely upon this year. Their bench has scored 46.7% of their points every game. So, it's just not uncommon for their bench players to be able to step up and give Coach Oates production. However, they're going to need their starters to get involved if they want to have a chance to win here at Cameron Indoor.
When they get them back in the second half. It's about a 7-second difference between the game and the shot clocks. Thornton, Allen, Jones, Ingram, and Kennard on the floor for Duke. Allen off the ball screen, nobody there to stop him in the lane. He does another good job extending those arms and drawing the contact, and he'll shoot 2.
We've got our great statisticians here, my man John, Freddie, both of them in the building today, and they asked me, Corey, was there anything that we needed to track? And I forgot to tell them, how many times does Grayson Allen hit the floor today? That's the one thing that we need to track. I got a text message from a guy by the name of Grant Hill, who's a decent player here, and he said, how much does Grayson Allen remind you of Bob Sura? Bob Sura, the Florida State great. And after watching him, and Grayson Allen from Jacksonville, Florida, when you look at him, he wears number 3, just like Bob Sura did at Florida State. He may have watched some Bobby Sura in his day when you look at it, but he plays very similar. Both very good athletes, finish well at the rim, could shoot it. But I don't think Bobby touched the floor as much as Grayson did. I start calling him Crash. That should be his nickname. He should be Crash Allen.
Got to be careful. They need him. 10 seconds left in a 10-point game. Who's going to make a stop? It's a rejection. Clean out of bounds. Wow.
And Brandon Ingram, you mentioned the 7'3" wingspan, going way above to be able to block that shot.
Inbounds to Perkins. 4 seconds. Loose ball out of bounds. And Duke will have the final say in the first half.
And it couldn't have been a worse possession for Buffalo, simply because you give Duke the basketball back with an opportunity to get 2 or 3 more points on the board before halftime to add to some momentum. Marshall Plumlee checking into the game, not really sure who he's coming to get. It took a little while. 6 players on the floor for Duke.
The try for 3 comes up short. Ingram doesn't score there, but he does have quite a first half. 18 against Indiana on Wednesday, and he combines with Grayson Allen for 25 points. Now let's send it to Chris Cotter. Jeff Goodman in the studio for the Land Rover halftime report. At the half as of late, that continues tonight, a 10-point lead after break. We welcome you back to Jimmy V Week for Cancer Research on ESPN as we continue our commitment to the V Foundation and Jim Valvano's dream to defeat cancer. Welcome back to Cameron Indoor. Mike Cousins and Corey Alexander. Well, it was two guys there in the first half. Brandon Ingram with 15, Grayson Allen with 10. Everybody else on the team just had 9. Ingram back-to-back, a great first half.
And Brandon Ingram showing it to you in a number of different areas of his game, but his ability to handle the basketball and score around the rim with that great touch and wingspan has really benefited Duke, as you see him able to finish on one end, but more importantly, getting the job done defensively, the big top block shot to save a bucket right before halftime. Buffalo on the other side, they're fortunate to be close in this game without having Rodell Wigginton, who was able to attack the rim early, as well as Bearden. Both these guys spent the majority of the first half on the bench in foul trouble, but they did have C.J. Massenberg doing a great job pushing the tempo, getting out of transition, able to finish at the rim. And the Bulls are looking forward to getting 2 of their better players back in after the intermission.
32%, the lowest first half percentage of the season. 36 is what they shot in the first half against Kentucky, the only loss of the year for the number 7 Blue Devils. So Buffalo spreading it out. Allen and Ingram condensing the scoring for Duke. First game that Buffalo and Duke have ever played. Nate Oates, the first-year head coach for Buffalo, he says against Duke, it's a 1-0 record for him in this building. He was here when Virginia Tech once had an overtime win against Duke. So not coaching-wise, but at least being in the house.
Well, you count that. If you're in the building, you get credit for the win.
Down to an 8-point game. Ingram made contact and lost it.
That's one of the things Duke has struggled with here, tonight. They've gotten into the paint a number of times. Instead of shooting the basketball, they've tried to pass it off to a teammate, and being unselfish has been a detriment to them because it ended up being turnovers on a number of possessions.
Cannot underestimate the importance of having Emile Jefferson on the floor, turning away Ikema Smart. Allen drives, shovels for Plumlee, and that's an easy foul. And he'll go to the line to shoot 2.
And we mentioned Emile Jefferson after he picked up that second foul in the first half. Coach K taking him out before this reason alone so that he can continue to be aggressive on the defensive end and be that anchor. And that's one of the things I don't think people ever look at when they talk about Duke and they've won behind, the performances by Tyus Jones and Jahlil Okafor and Justice Winslow, the 3 draft picks last year. Quinn Cook doesn't get enough credit for what he did with that team, and Duke has always had that senior guy, the guy that's been with Coach K, that helps those younger players be able to adjust to playing for Coach K as well as to the college game. And Quinn Cook, in my opinion, was the leader of that team. Emile Jefferson was a junior last year, but those are the reasons why Duke was able to be so successful, especially going through the national championship run.
Bearden, who had those 3 fouls in the first half and sat for a majority of it. Just 10 minutes. Smart trying to save it on the baseline, lobs it back in. Now Skeet with a kick out. Cotter tries a 3. 15-footer. Short again for Skeet.
And one of the concerns for Coach Oates coming in was his guys being able to make shots, and they haven't been able to do it. And more importantly, they cannot allow that guy to make shots on the offensive end.
It's a dozen for Allen. He comes up with it after the steal by Ingram. Offensive board. Jefferson takes it out and throws it away.
Grayson Allen in transition is a handful for anyone. His ability to maneuver around the rim and then find angles to score unlike any other in college basketball right now. And more importantly, his approach, the way that he continues to attack the basket is different, because no matter what happens on the previous play, he's coming back at you 100 miles per hour on the next trip.
Ingram right to the rim. 17 for the freshman. Possession was switched after the ball was initially ruled to be Buffalo's there at that end of the floor. Out of bounds, and it's Duke basketball again.
And we were giving Buffalo credit for what they've done defensively in this game. However, they don't have an answer for Brandon Ingram right now. His length and his ability to handle the basketball, getting to the rim, has been a tremendous problem for the Bulls, and something they're going to have to figure out. They may have to look at a zone, because right now, man-to-man, they don't have anyone that can defend Ingram.
Jones floats it. No. His own defense, of course, that opens all type of possibilities for the great three-point shooters on this Duke roster, though neither team shot well from three in the first half. Combined 3 of 18, and 2 of those were for Buffalo. Smart under the bucket, and it's a foul as Allen went body to body with Wigginton. First on Grayson Allen.
And give Wigginton a lot of credit for not just standing out on the perimeter waiting for the ball to come to him, cutting to the rim, and doing a good job putting himself in a position to be able to score. Rodell Wigginton, of course, I have the opportunity to coach his little brother, Lindell Wigginton, right now, who plays for, at Oak Hill, where I'm an assistant coach. And you had the chance to see Oak Hill and Lindell on Thursday. He was actually the MVP.
What are the odds that we're in the same building both Thursday and Saturday nights?
With the Wigginton. Thursday and Saturday, and we have a Wigginton in both games.
Playing for Oak Hill under Steve Smith. 31 years at Oak Hill. Has turned out dozens of NBA players, and they played against the future Duke Blue Devil, the #2 player in the country, Jason Tatum, who nearly made it a single-handed come from behind win.
Yeah, we had a problem guarding him as well. I think ACC teams are going to have a problem guarding him over the next year, because I think they only get to see him for one.
High-low entry pass. Jefferson turns and scores with the left.
And that's where Emil Jefferson has developed in the Duke uniform. He was a big-time scorer coming out of high school, McDonald's All-American, but really gave a lot of that up in playing his role here at Duke. But seeing him getting it done on the block is almost nostalgic. I remember watching him in high school when he was a big-time player on that block.
Emil Jefferson picks up his 3rd foul. 41-27, the lead at 14, matches the largest lead of the night for Duke.
And that's something that Coach K is going to have to manage throughout the remainder of this one. Chase Jeter, who was a McDonald's All-American, is going to be a very good player here for Duke. But right now, he's not able to bring, the intensity and the leadership at the level that Jefferson does right now, which makes Jefferson so valuable to this team. And Coach K having to manage that, because you don't want to have to spend the majority of this game, the second half, especially with Emil Jefferson on the bench, especially if it continues to get closer.
Chase Jeter not at the level that they want him to be yet. The Rice transfer, Sean Obi, probably a bit farther than they expected to be from contributing valuable minutes as well when you talk about big men. Ingram has it poked from behind, and here comes Skeet on the breakaway. He feeds Hamilton, who hangs and has it blocked by Ingram. Now Allen leading the break to Jefferson. Allen could have taken the roof off of Cameron Indoor with a 3.
I'm shocked he didn't let that one go. The momentum was all on his side. I'm surprised he didn't let that one go.
Plumlee gets inside, doesn't get the call, and Smart with the rebound for Buffalo. To 4-on-3, to the wing, Hamilton at 3.
Buffalo has had their opportunities, just unable to make that timely basket, really to put Duke on their heels, especially to start this second half. That 3 right there would have made it a one-possession game. I'm sorry, a single-digit game.
A fresh 30 seconds after a second straight offensive rebound. Skeet wanted the call there and didn't get it. Nate Oates said last night at their shoot-around, no sense arguing with the refs here. We're not getting the calls. He knows.
I will not comment on that.
Allen into the paint. And just left it short.
Outside of Brandon Ingram attacking the rim, Buffalo has done a pretty good job in dealing with Grayson Allen as well as everyone else on the Duke Blue Devils team offensively. It's just unable to score on the other end. Now we see Skeet knock down the 3-pointer, and now it is a single-digit game. Duke's lead trimmed to 9, and Buffalo starting to feel like they can compete. The longer this game goes in second half and the closer they can remain, the better they feel about their chances of walking out of here with a win.
Luke Kennard and Derek Thornton ready to check in for Duke at the next dead ball. play we saw a few possessions before, and the same result, Plumlee to Jefferson.
And you can see at halftime, Coach K made sure to make it an emphasis to his team that they could not guard Emil Jefferson on the post, because they've gone, you called it, the same play twice, and the result has been the same. Jefferson starting to take advantage of the smaller defenders for Buffalo on the interior.
Skeet driving on Allen, and it's a mismatch there. To the corner, Ingram lines up a three! Timeout, Buffalo.
Well, regardless as to what year you are, you can get minutes by showing the coach that you want to do all the intangibles. And this time we've got the freshman hustle. Brandon Ingram, the number 3 rated player coming into college basketball this year out of high school, getting down the floor and blocking the shot, and then doing what we're accustomed to seeing him do, spot up in the corner, knocking down the 3 ball and getting the Cameron Crazies involved in this game.
Buffalo had to take a timeout with how loud it was getting in here. Ingram guarding, preseason ACC Rookie of the Year, Atlantic Coast Conference first team as well. He gets the deflection and now leads a 4-on-2 break, and a whistle as Hamilton tried to take it away. 46-32, Duke over Buffalo, 13:44 to play.
Every family has been impacted by cancer. And the great thing about this right now is that we're beating cancer. We're beating cancer more than cancer is beating us. And one of the reasons is because we have more people fighting in a unified fashion against cancer. And that's why I've loved being a part of the V Foundation since its inception.
You too can help as well. Go to jimmyv.org or call 1-800-4JIMMY-V to donate, and know that all donations benefit the V Foundation for Cancer Research. When he was 47 and passed away in 1993, Jim Valvano had his last days at Duke University Medical Center. Mike Krzyzewski was at his bedside nearly every day while he was here. And those two guys squared off not only many times in the ACC, but before Mike Krzyzewski was at Duke and before Coach V was at NC State.
Yeah, very few people can say they've got a winning record against Coach K. but Jimmy V, one of the best personalities ever in college basketball. Definitely can say that, as well as Grayson Allen can say he can get to the rim whenever he wants.
14 points now for the sophomore out of Jacksonville, Florida. It's the first foul on C.J. Massenberg, the freshman for Buffalo. So we've looked at the numbers for Grayson Allen, and we see they're way up, almost 5 times what he did last year scoring-wise. How has he gotten so much better?
You know, Grayson Allen, I got an opportunity to see him in high school, and of course he played in the Each One Teach One AAU program. And the thing about him, he always could do this. You know, last year he started the season really behind Rasheed Suleiman, and then got opportunities to play once Suleiman was released from the team. But what he's doing is, this is how he's always played. It's not as though, I mean, and I'm sure he has gotten better. Most players do get much better between their freshman and sophomore year. Unfortunately, we don't see a lot of them as sophomores now, right, guys that are this good. But Grayson Allen, of course, was a McDonald's All-American. He was a guy that came in, you know, with a lot of hype. But Quinn Cook was the shooting guard for this team. And Grayson Allen now just getting the opportunity to go out and doing it and leading a lot of younger players. And you're just seeing the fruits of hard work, as well as a guy that's an extreme talent being able to take over here in the Blue Devil uniform.
It's easy to forget he was a top 50 player for the ESPN 100 rankings coming in. Just came in with a great class.
Well, he was big. I mean, like I say, he was a McDonald's All-American. He was more than top 50. He was top 20. I mean, he was a special talent. And more importantly, he's a major athlete.
Emil Jefferson has 8. It's a 10-0 Duke run. It's their largest lead of the night.
And that's 1-3-1 zone defense again has been the difference. Duke's implementing that here in the second half. Didn't use it much in the first half. But I don't believe that people have been expecting this from the Blue Devils, I saw them use it against Yale. You saw them use it against Utah State. And they did it against Indiana, blowing Indiana out of the building. And again, it's nothing that we've seen from Coach K. I don't believe it's something that he's played really in the 40-plus years that he's been coaching college basketball.
Jefferson fouled as he goes to the rim. Perkins there to meet him, and he gets the foul. Well, last year when it was his own defense, it was a 2-3.
Absolutely. He broke it out against Louisville. He's always been a man-to-man coach. When I played against him, 20-plus years ago, he was a man-to-man coach. And when I saw him play the zone against Louisville, it definitely shocked me. But I was actually here in the Yale game when they went into the 1-3-1. And, I almost had to pinch myself. If I wasn't up here in the bird's nest, I would have forgotten I was at Duke.
There were interesting comments, too, earlier in the season from Matt Jones, who said that he expects Duke to play man-to-man defense. That's something they pride themselves on. The counter for that from his 36th-year head coach was, well, at certain points, the man-to-man offense of a Yale, of a Georgetown, was ahead of our man-to-man defense. You wouldn't say that about a Buffalo-Duke matchup. But with Ingram at the top, it's worked very well.
But and that has a lot to do with it, with that wingspan of Ingram. But more importantly, it just shows the creativity and the ability to adapt that Coach K has implemented over his, many years as a coach. It goes from not only what defense he plays to even his recruiting style, to where 5 years ago they really weren't going after the one-and-done type players, and now you see that they're one of the best in the country in doing so.
Luke Kennard gets the tip. Rakikovic recovers in the backcourt for Buffalo. The freshman from Serbia tries a three. Nearly banked it in. Connor drives and gets the roll. Three-point shot the last two games has not been the friend of Buffalo. 1 of 13. Last time out against St. Bonaventure, and tonight 3 of 16.
And they were having success early in the game attacking the rim. However, it hasn't been much at all here as the Blue Devils hold an 18-point lead here on their home court.
ESPN, Duke 52, Buffalo 34, 11:35 left here in the second half. Tuesday, ESPN, the Jimmy V Classic presented by Corona has a twin bill, 7 Eastern, West Virginia and number 10 Virginia, and then 9 Eastern. It's number 2 Maryland against UConn, which has already faced Michigan, Syracuse, Gonzaga, and now the number 2 team in the country. You see those games also live on Watch ESPN. Who's number 1 when the next poll comes out?
I believe it has to be Michigan State. I mean, when you think about what they've done, big win against Louisville in the ACC, with the Big Ten ACC Challenge, and they're still undefeated, where everyone else is taking a loss. By the way, they have a guy up there who was playing similar to a guy that they had about, what would that be, 36 years ago?
Denzel Valentine.
Triple-double threat like Magic? Was he Magic when he was at Michigan State? Or was he just Irvin then?
Probably just Irvin.
Just Irvin? He's always been Magic. They might not have called him that.
Luke Kennard, he's got 4. Now 11 minutes left to play. Duke trying for its 122nd straight non-conference home win. Streak that goes back to November of 2000. Foul is on Ikenna Smart, his 3rd. 5 team fouls for Buffalo, 3 against Duke. That's Thornton, your true point guard, running the offense here. And a foul off the ball comes in the paint against Buffalo. You got so many interesting lineups here. That's on Bearded, his 4th for Duke, with how much youth and then a little bit of experience sprinkled in there on the floor. 3 freshmen right now, with a sophomore Ian Allen and then the senior Jefferson.
And we've seen actually 4 freshmen on the court at times here today. When Chase Jeter was in the game, they've actually had the 4 freshmen on the court at once. So, this is a young Duke team, regardless of how good they are. They're still young. But Brandon Ingram is surely not playing like it here tonight.
Ingram is going back to the line. Now, Chase Jeter played a little bit in the first half, was quickly pulled, but didn't see any time on Wednesday when they beat Indiana by 20. Well, just trying to get his confidence back.
Yeah, but Emil Jefferson had 8 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 block shots. I mean, it was hard to take him off the court against Indiana when he's putting up those type of numbers.
He led the team in assists in that game. Marshall Plumlee today leads Duke with 4 assists.
Marshall Plumlee dropping dimes, baby. You gotta love it. The big fella is getting it done on the interior. We asked Emil earlier today, he said, how did you come up with 8 assists? Of course, he says, I don't know. I was assuming that it was all off of the offensive rebounds, kicking it out for threes, but, you know, he's a guy that just lays it all on the line. He's all over the place, so he just falls into all kinds of numbers.
Well, it certainly helps to have some great three-point shooters on the edge. And they did it in that game. Grayson Allen was 0 for 1 from 3. But 7 of 11 overall from the floor.
And Grayson Allen was the 3rd leading scorer for Duke against Indiana. Ingram with 24 and Matt Jones had 23. Allen almost had a night off playing against the Hoosiers.
Basket at the other end from C.J. Massenberg, the first Texas-born player in Buffalo history. Ingram's miss leads to a breakout. It's Massenberg again. A Lone Star native all alone under the basket for 2. The Blue Devils with a chance to really cement things here. Buffalo pulling it back to within 15. Kennard beats his man, and from the logo is turned away, trying to find Jefferson under the basket, and it's off of Smart, which means it's Duke basketball. Buffalo expected to be a team that would be at the top of the MAC coming into this year after making the NCAA tournament a year ago, but they lost nearly 50 points a game from last year. 2 more for Jefferson, 11 points, so he's back to his average. 11 points, 11 rebounds. And now a timeout. Bobby Hurley left Buffalo for Arizona State shortly after the season concluded last year. A great whirlwind tour through Western New York.
Well, and you look at it, of course, Bobby Hurley doing a tremendous job. And I actually got a chance to go up and spend a day with Bobby while he was at Buffalo. And, you know, people there were so excited about him being there as a coach. And he did a tremendous job as you think about the first NCAA berth in program history, and had 2 back-to-back MAC Players of the Year, Javon McCray as well as Justin Moss. Moss should have been on this team. And you look at the bench now for, you know, for Buffalo, and you got 2 big-time assistant coaches over there. Donyell Marshall, my boy, who was one of my teammates in the McDonald's All-American game, as well as 2004 ACC Player of the Year, Julius Hodge. And what trivia question for you?
Yes.
I'll give you the answer with the question. Who holds the NCAA, so the NBA record for most three-pointers made in a game?
I know the answer is 12, and it's Donyell Marshall,
as well as Kobe
yes.
Bryant. But you know, when you're 6'9", and by the way, Julius Hodge
I'm going to call that color grilled salmon. It's got the lines on there from the grill and the salmon color.
Again, he's coming back to ACC country. He's 2004 ACC Player of the Year. He has to come dressed to impress. I don't know if I can pull it off, but my man Drew has it going. And look at it. Look at those numbers against Duke. You know, ACC Player of the Year. Of course, he got a lot of attention when he had to come in here and play Cameron Indoor, especially playing for NC State, because you know they don't like the Wolfpack here.
Right, and he lived in Raleigh in the offseason while he was playing overseas. 3-pointer makes it a 14-point game. So you think about this staff. He's also got Jim Weitzel, who's got 34 years of coaching experience, was at St. John's the last 2 years, and was a head coach at Loyola in Chicago. Donyell Marshall, 15 years in the NBA. Jefferson's got 13. And then Brian Hodgson, a junior college coach who helped bring some of these players here. That's a pretty good staff for a first-year head coach.
That is definitely a good staff. And this Buffalo team is going to, in my opinion, have a solid year, simply because they do have a great coaching staff. They have talent, but they only have 3 guys that were contributors on their team last year that are in the rotation right now. So that's one of the things. These guys got to get used to actually playing together. We mentioned they've got 5 guys that are averaging close to or in double figures, but they're not being able to do it all on the same night. But they get to a point to where they're all clicking at the same time. And again, you don't necessarily expect them to come out and do that against the reigning national champion. But once they get into MAC play, I think they have a chance to be successful.
Got a whistle on the floor as Wigginton took it to the hoop. And that's on Matt Jones, his second for the birthday boy, 21 today. Buffalo has played them tough this year. Coming up, they're going to Iowa State in 2 days. So you got 2 top 10 opponents. Last year they played at Kentucky, at Wisconsin, where they lost by 8. And what a ride it's been for Nate Oates who was the head coach at Romulus High School next to the Detroit Airport for 11 years, was 2 years an assistant for Hurley, and now leads this program. Offensive foul on Wigginton. Thornton hits the deck, and Wigginton has foul number 3.
And the second time Wigginton of those fouls is an offensive foul. And those are ones, of course, you know, whenever you displace a defender as an offensive player, it's going to be called on you. That defender has a right to a legal guarding position, and if you knock him out of that, you will get the foul as the offensive player.
I appreciate sitting next to a guy who's read the rule book.
Well, you know, I had a couple spare minutes.
Quick bucket getting back down the floor for Massenberg, who's had himself a nice game. 10 points for the freshman.
He really has, and he's been aggressive tackling the rim. And he's a guy that's going to be able to help this team. And they've got a number of guys that, you know, that will help them throughout the year. Massenberg, a freshman, but of course has showed up and had a number of significant big-time games, scoring 15 against Canisius, their crosstown rival.
And Massenberg does it again.
Coming up with a huge block. However, his team still trails by 14, but he has not stopped playing.
Chris Cotter back in our college basketball studios in Bristol over on ESPN. #1 team in the country in the women's game. Top player, too, Breanna Stewart. What a what a game she's having. 23 points, 10 boards. UConn pulling away. Back to Mike and Corey and Cameron.
Well, Breanna Stewart is a tremendous player, trying for 4 titles in 4 years. A little bit of a banged-up Notre Dame team for Muffet McGraw right now, but they've been to 5 straight Final Fours, so no worries in South Bend. Allen with the miss. Duke up by 14. Under 8 minutes to play here at Cameron Indoor. Mike Cousins and Corey Alexander, glad to have you along here on this Saturday night. Buffalo at 4-3, defending champions of the MAC. The Blue Devils 7-1. Their only loss against #1 for now, Kentucky. Over the shoulder. How about that finish? And what a day for Massenberg.
And Massenberg, hearing about all the freshmen for Duke, he must make sure he gets his TV time as well. Guys, don't forget about me. He's been just as impressive as all the other freshmen here, except for maybe Brandon Ingram. I think he might be a little more impressive today.
Jones with a 3-ball. Apropos, he's got 64% of his points from beyond the arc this year. Buffalo has hit its last 7 shots, and why not get it back to Massenberg? Freshman versus freshman with Ingram on defense. Perkins doesn't get the 3, although he's been the most successful 3-point shooter tonight for Buffalo.
Well, C.J. Massenberg has heard all about Brandon Ingram as a freshman. However, he doesn't care. Take him to the rim and finish on the big 6'9" freshman on the other end. It's Matt Jones doing what he does best, lining up the 3-ball from the top of the key and knocking it down.
Shooting 48% there. Massenberg takes a seat after foul number 2 on Willie Connor. 19 fouls against Buffalo, 5 against Duke with 6:44 to play. Allen 92% on the year. Well, tonight on ESPN, the Pac-12 championship game presented by Dr. Pepper, number 20 USC against Christian McCaffrey and number 7 Stanford. It all starts 7:45 Eastern. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN.
You know, it's amazing how watching all the college football TV, and they're talking about all the scenarios. If this team, if North Carolina beats Clemson, you know, if this happens, does Stanford get in? So I got to go to you because, of course, you would be an expert on those type of things.
And the answer is maybe, because we've got a committee of human beings who are deciding. However, it would open the door for them, that's for sure. Allen trying to answer. Got it from 3. Now for Grayson Allen. Into the post. That's a favorable matchup for Perkins. Not a good look as he tries to finish, and Wigginton colliding with the rim. Can't put it in either.
Well, it's been a tag team affair tonight for the Blue Devils. Brandon Ingram, and this time Grayson Allen knocking down the three, which he does at about a 48% clip throughout the year, so it's no surprise to see it. But you look at what he and Ingram have done here this evening. 41 points, shooting extremely high percentage, about 45% from the field. But then you look at the other players for this Duke team, they're going to need production from other guys. Outside of Emil Jefferson, they really haven't got much production from anyone else, you know, throughout the Blue Devil lineup. So it's pretty much been a three-headed monster here for Duke today, and that is going to work tonight against Buffalo. That's not going to work throughout the ACC season. They're going to have to make sure they get guys like Luke Kennard and Derek Thornton, and they're going to need offense, and Matt Jones. They need offense from these guys to be able to survive with the schedule they'll play once they get to ACC play.
There is no question about that. Foul on the drive as Bearden will go to the free throw line. Back to Grayson Allen as he comes into this game leading the ACC in scoring. You look at his company there. You got Cat Barber in second from NC State. They got a win earlier today. And then Michael Benajay from Syracuse is fourth. Third and fifth, the youth of Florida State has been so impressive. Malik Beasley, 20 points, and Dwayne Bacon at 19 points, a guy you're very familiar with.
Absolutely, and Dwayne Bacon, I honestly knew that he would have success going down playing for Coach Leonard Hamilton. But talking to Coach Hamilton at ACC Media Day, and he said, I'm not saying that he is better, but Malik Beasley is just as good, and it's amazing to see both of those guys and what they've done as freshmen for the Seminoles.
Florida State 4-2. They've got VCU. You can see that game tomorrow on ESPNU. Duke playing comfortably right now with an 18-point lead. 5:40 to go. Allen just short inside the paint, and he got hit. And out off that offensive rebound back to Jones.
That's nothing new for him. He's always getting hit. He's
usually hitting the floor.
He's always in the mix.
Ingram wants to go. Can't get it. Out of bounds. Duke basketball.
Well, it's normally Grayson Allen doing the hitting, whether it's hitting the floor or whatever it may be. This time, going for the loose ball, catches one in the throat. Oh, right there. Inadvertent by Rodell Wigginton, but hurts the same nonetheless.
Well, he usually plays with more emotion than an Adele song, but right now he's a little bit toned down.
Oh, I like that. Adele came on the radio the other day. I almost fell asleep driving in my car.
Allen with a career-high 10 rebounds tonight to go along with his 22 points. Listen to track 2 on the CD. You'll wake up, I promise.
All right, gotcha. Track 2 wakes me up.
Yes. Allen hit again as he goes into the lane. Thornton tries the basket. And a whistle underneath will send a freshman to the free throw line. That's on Perkins, the third on the freshman out of Michigan, which you imagine will be an area recruited very heavily by this Buffalo staff, with Nate Oates having been a high school coach in the Detroit area for 11 seasons.
Well, one thing I know, they're going to be all over the place. Donyell Marshall was, of course, coming to me earlier saying, Corey, you got to send me some players. You know, he says, but you know, when he calls me for guys, he doesn't like the guys I send. He says, no, I don't want the low mid-major guys. I want the mid-major to high-major guys. I'm like, well, everyone else does too.
Well, he's got the older brother of Lindell Wigginton, who's on Oak Hill right now. He's getting very many high-major looks, just as a junior. C.J. Massenberg off the window for 3.
No, C.J.'s been good all night, but that one, I'm not quite sure he called bank or whether or not he tried to do that. So, you know, because he's been so good here tonight, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But he's got to call that next time. We're taking it off the board.
No, I don't care what time of day it is. You can online bank on your phone now, so there's no restrictions.
So there's no more saying the bank is open. The bank is always open.
Let's retire that cliche today. December 5th, 2015, RIP.
I like the way you just shut that down.
Jones short off the front rim. Still a 17-point lead for Duke. Trying to improve to 8-1 on the year before a layoff for final exams. Staff was a little bit worried they might come out sluggish. First half was close. The second half, they've looked a little bit better. Smart doesn't get it. Jefferson the rebound. That's one thing for a lot of these guys, their final exams, it's not a test. at the end of the semester. It's a paper or a project. So this past week leading up to the end of the semester is a little bit tougher for them rather than the culmination of the first half of the year. They'll come back and have a game against Georgia Southern and then Utah after that. Crowd is loud. 3:05 to play. Bearden tries it from deep. The leading scorer today, 10 points. Sat for half of the first half with 3 fouls. Has not been the player they would have needed him to be for an upset tonight.
Well, they've gotten a big performance from C.J. Massenberg, 15 points from the freshman for Buffalo. However, they really haven't been able to get many other guys going.
And Matt Jones will go to the free throw line on the other side.
ESPN2, including the Mountain West championship game. Donnell Pumphrey hoping to lead the ground attack for the Aztecs against Air Force. Coming up about 23 minutes time. Until then, back to Cameron Indoor.
Well, Alabama on its way to a win in the SEC title game. The offense of Florida, as expected, not able to compete with Alabama. If you make a pick today, who do you like to win it all?
Well, am I going with my head or my heart?
Your heart.
I'm going with my heart. I'm going with Clemson. I want the ACC team. The ACC gets no respect in football. I want my ACC team to get it done. But my head says Alabama. It's hard to pick against Nick Saban and what he's done down in Tuscaloosa.
The beauty of a 4-team playoff. Jones knocks down 2. A great shooter on his 21st birthday.
Look at this dude coming out with full court pressure. 2.5 left to go, up 21, and they're picking up full court. You think Coach K's trying to teach his guys something?
Send a message. And Ingram trying to play all the way to the basket. Massenberg wins that battle for the second time tonight.
Absolutely, and Massenberg getting the job done here tonight. Driving the ball to the rim, and it's not easy finishing over Brandon Ingram. Already 4 block shots on the night. You see that 7'3" wingspan, but it's the second time that C.J. Massenberg has gone to the body of Brandon Ingram and been successful.
Grayson Allen takes his seat. Nice night for him, 22 points. Following up on his 16-point performance against Indiana.
Just went and got his average to go sit down. I mean, just a normal day's work.
Easy day. It's now the 6th time in 9 games where he's scored at least 20. Gordon, Ingram, Kennard out on the perimeter, and now Jeter into the game as well. The freshman from Las Vegas out of Bishop Gorman High School. And you give Ingram enough room to run. It's going to be a foul on the perimeter eventually. That's the 4th on Perkins. Tonight after the Pac-12 title game, stick around for Sports Center at Night with Scott Van Pelt. SVP with highlights from busy day in sports. Championship Saturday breakdown. Sports Center at Night after USC and Stanford on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN. You see Massenberg get into the lane against Ingram. That's probably the biggest knock on him right now. It's just that he's sleight of frame.
Well, and that's very true. I mean, that's not hard to see when you look at Brandon Ingram, but that's one of the things that, you know, hard work can correct. But you can't teach his soft, feathery touch. You know, you can't teach his ability to really be able to handle the ball and the feel for the game that he has and just the natural knack to score. So there, and by the way, he's about 6'9", so you really can't teach that either, which makes him a special talent and a guy that most likely will only see for 1 year here at Duke. So we might want to enjoy it while we have the chance.
Jeter with the blocking foul. And Ingram had pretty good AAU coaching as well, playing under Jerry Stackhouse.
You think so?
There was the thought that he might go to North Carolina, but the haze and the cloud over North Carolina with NCAA sanctions looming definitely factored into his decision to come here to Durham.
I get that. I was thinking that you were actually saying Jerry Stackhouse is a pretty good coach. Stack's a little brother. He's Oak Hill too, so he's a little brother.
Right, he's good.
I can talk about him.
Ingram from Kinston, about 100 miles from here. Mid 47 to play. It's Duke 77 and Buffalo 57.
I wonder if it actually hurts Stack to see Brandon playing in a Duke uniform. Because, of course, he bleeds Carolina blue,
right.
No question about that. Had an amazing dunk here back when I was in school, a big rivalry game. Duke UNC, he goes under the basket almost like he was in a dunk contest.
Luke Kennard's going to be automatic when he's wide open from the corner. 7 tonight for the freshman from Ohio. That's a scouting report mistake right there.
Absolutely.
Skied way off as he tries to answer. Bearden, the fortunate recipient. And a whistle from the far sideline. Stop play.
They have to readjust the shot clock on that one. I'm not sure if that shot hit the rim.
It did not, so they reset it to 13 seconds.
And Jerry Heater right on top of it. Not going to give those extra seconds.
Drop off for Smart, the native of Nigeria. No. A minute to play with Duke up big. Thornton gets a screen from his roommate Jeter. Into the lane, turned away. On the breakaway, Connor with Kennard. The freshman, the foul, his second. So the last few games, Utah State, Indiana, Yale, they've been close at the half. Tonight it was a 10-point game. The margin has stretched. The experience, the ability for Duke has come to work in the second half.
Well, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that this is a young team, and coming out approaching the game the right way is still a struggle for them. But more importantly, you're giving maybe the best college basketball coach that we've ever seen an opportunity to go in and have 15 minutes with this team at halftime to be able to adjust. He's going to come out with the right answers and pull the right strings in the second half.
Ingram is done. The crowd recognizes that. He follows up 24 points with 23 tonight. So the surge in the freshman year of Brandon Ingram is officially on, and his teammates know it on the bench.
Were those noogies? Was that a noogie they were giving him?
I don't know if I've seen anybody do that in quite a while.
I know. I thought the noogies were my generation. You're too young for noogies. You don't even know anything about that.
So just a few more possessions remain for Duke and Buffalo. Duke after this will improve to 8-1. And then they've got 10 days off, the final exam period, before Georgia Southern comes here to Cameron Indoor. A 7 o'clock tip-off on ESPN2. First career double-double for Grayson Allen, who looks like he'll stay atop the scoring leaderboard in the ACC. You know, it's a little odd to see 2 missed free throws there from Grayson Allen.
You jinxed him is what it was. I can remember the announcer jinxed when he went to the line, and I'm telling Grayson it was all your fault.
In that case, I'm responsible for hundreds of games that were not no-hitters,
too. I'm not going to track down all those pitchers.
Here comes the second from Thornton. Got it. So Nate Oates, well, he'll see his lifetime record at Cameron go to 1-1. Corner 3, no. Out of bounds, and Buffalo has it with 3 seconds to play. Nate Oates, who we just saw there on that Buffalo bench. Again, we wish the best to him, his family, this Buffalo team, as his wife, Crystal, will try and fight off double hit lymphoma. Her diagnosis came in October, right before the start of the season. We heard from him. And here in Jimmy V Week, a great story from Nate Oates, and we wish the best to him, his wife Crystal, and their 3 daughters. The final score tonight from Durham, North Carolina is Duke 82 and Buffalo 59. The Bulls 4-4. The Blue Devils at number 7 in the country are now 8-1. Coming up next, our college basketball live scoreboard, followed by the Mountain West Championship, San Diego State and Air Force. For our entire crew here in North Carolina, my partner Corey Alexander, I'm Mike Cousins. We say thanks for watching and good night from Durham.